Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel for a brand new video going over the new Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel game. We have a lot of news and information on this, and if you're excited about the game like I am, drop a like on this video. But anyways, let's go ahead and get right into it. So they did a big live stream as well as a showcase over in the Tokyo Game Show. I'm basically going to be summing up all several hours of the footage into one kind of condensed video, going over the important things that you guys want to know. So kicking it right off, everyone wants to know, when is this new Yu-Gi-Oh! Game coming out? Well, it's set to release for winter 2021, which it can mean, I guess, from January 22 to March 2022. Technically, maybe at the end of towards the end, maybe December as well. But yeah, it's winter 2021, so it can mean that it's going to be up until March, because that's how it kind of works because of quarters. But nonetheless, so it's going to be coming out relatively soon, so that is going to be good information. Now, another thing a lot of people want to know is, how much is this game going to be costing? Now, over here, because the whole thing is in Japanese, I basically was just grabbing screenshots. In fact, most of the things that they were showing off was kind of like a PowerPoint presentation anyways, with the exception of the actual gameplay, which it's just like any other Yu-Gi-Oh! Game. But interesting enough, they did show off some of the things that you can earn, and I got more screenshots of it. There looks like there's several different forms of currency, so there is some type of gems premium currency, and a lot of people want to know, is this game going to be free to play and you have to buy like the gems for packs? And it seems like that's what it's going to be, but over here it did mention, well, the game is indeed free to play and is expected that it will have some system. I mean, obviously, if the game is free to play, we're gonna have to earn our cards in some sort of way, right? That's kind of to be expected if the game is free. A lot of people were kind of worried about, do you have all the cards unlocked at the start? And especially if it's gonna be a free to play game, more than likely not. You'll probably get some free cards to mess around with, and there's probably some way to earn cards, but it's gonna be relatively throttled. If you guys probably played Duel Links, it might be a similar mechanic where you get a bunch in the very beginning and then it slowly starts to dry up. Who knows? We don't know for sure, but at least right now we know that there is a premium currency in the game, which means there is going to be some form of monetization. There's lots of different screenshots. In fact, I'll kind of go over these in a moment, as I actually basically took a bunch of other screenshots to go over basically the things that are important with this new game. So first off, it's going to be on PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X, Xbox Series S, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, Steam, iOS, and Android. Another thing people want to know is there crossplay. At the moment, that's something that they are looking into. There's like one article I'll pull up, but basically, there's not going to be crossplay. At the moment, there is no confirmation on crossplay, but it's something that hopefully will eventually be introduced in the future. I have no idea why they wouldn't be able to do crossplay. It's not like you get an advantage, like, you know, how with like PC versus console, you know, you get an advantage, but there's no advantage in like a turn-based card game. So hopefully that will be something that gets fixed in the future. It'd be also good to see cross progression. I'm sure some of you guys maybe would like to play on your phone, you know, on the go, and still have your same account, kind of like how you can do with Duel Links. You can like have it on your phone and you can like have it on Steam. That'd be a really cool feature to have cross progression, but I also think crossplay would be good. Another thing is, this is kind of like the menu hub. There are several different areas here, so like there's different campaigns for, like, there's like the Klee one, and then there's like the World Legacy. There's like a few different ones that you can actually do in the game, but you can see that there's like a scenario, there's practice, duel, and then there's the goal, and then you'll see that some of the things that you have to like complete it kind of in like almost like a tree in terms of how it works. Now, there is some text that comes up on screen. I'm not sure if this is lore or story or kind of explaining the card effects. I can't read Japanese, and there's just like, basically it's a Microsoft PowerPoint that they showed off. This was again showing off the premium currency. When you do clear these things, you'll get currency. Now, in addition with that, we're just over here in Photoshop, but you can see that there's all these other forms of currency right here. Now, I'm guessing that this is going to be like dark, looks like maybe like light, looks like earth, water, fire, wind, and my guess is this is all tied to some form of currency that you're going to be able to unlock later down the line. Again, I don't have any confirmation on exactly what they didn't show off the shop, by the way, if you're wondering if that was actually shown off, but they basically showed some duels over here, and it looks just like any other Yu-Gi-Oh game for the most part. I mean, some animations are a little bit more flashy. It's a newer game, but it's nothing new that like we haven't seen from like Yu-Gi-Oh Omega or any other like Yu-Gi-Oh game in terms of like the gameplay mechanics. It's going to be the same. There's also a level system, and I'm guessing as you progress, just like in Duel Links, you can like level up. They didn't show off any perks, like, you know, in Duel Links where we have these character perks. They didn't show any of that off. It's just like a standard Yu-Gi-Oh game. But I'm guessing as you level up, you're probably going to get extra gems, and then you can use that to buy packs or whatever the case may be. I'm not sure if this is also tied to any other form of progression in the game, but that was something I did notice, and they kind of like showed it off. So in terms of the duel, there's also one thing that I did notice. Whoever was losing their like board would break. It's kind of like an interesting feature. It probably won't change their gameplay, but like their field starts to crack, which I think is interesting because it doesn't really affect gameplay. It's just another like VFX over here. Now here are the campaigns. So there's like I think this one is like the World Legacy. Then we got Gem Knights, and we also have the Cleat. So each one of these has its own campaign, like going back to, I think it was it like this screenshot over here, the second one actually, where it showed off like there's kind of like a campaign. So each one of these has its own progression, but like I feel like most of these are outdated, teaching people to play, like especially with the decks. And I kind of want to get into that, and I'm curious to know how a lot of you guys feel about like the systems that they have right now already with the for me, I think it's a great idea that the game is free to play, and we have to obviously earn the gems and have progression. That's normal with like Yu-Gi-Oh games in general. I think one good suggestion someone made was that like we would have all the cards when the game releases, right? We have access to all the cards, but then every time there's a new set, we would have to actually, you know, purchase those, or give us like the base of like a bunch of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Don't start us off with like vanillas, and even some of the decks that they were showing off for like the progression in some of these were like not going to be used in an actual duel, because I think people that pick this game up are going to be kind of disconnected with like the meta of the actual game. And I was thinking, is this game meant for like the hardcore Yu-Gi-Oh audience, or is it meant for maybe more of a casual? And it seems like it's more oriented around the casual, especially with the start of it, but at least we now have an official Yu-Gi-Oh game. But like I said, so each one of these has its own like little progression that you'll have to go through. And then also they mentioned something about the World Championship. So it's going to have like actual like big, they even said the word esports at one point in the thing. Like I said, mostly I was just skimming to see like the new content here because I don't understand everything in Japanese, but they did mention that. So they will have some sort of competitiveness with it. So that's good at least. But you can see some of these actually go on further. You can see there's different like scenario. It looks like, I'm guessing it's like a story, then the practice is like showing you like a certain scenario. Like at one point they're like, oh, summon the towers. But basically it's just kind of like, if you want to think of it kind of like a tutorial, and then you duel. There is PvP in the game. It's not just PvE. They actually do a duel later in the like video. But in terms of the actual cards, I mean, come on, who's running these sorts of decks? You know, I'm gonna main deck Noblemen across out in 2021. Like, yeah, sure, maybe against like, I just, this is why I feel like the game is oriented more around casual, which is totally fine. You know, that's, you know, something that I really wanted this to be like the ultimate competitive Yu-Gi-Oh game for casual and competitive. But if you watch like some of the duels, like these animations take so dang long that it takes 20-30 minutes. Even if you played the Rush Duel games on the Switch, which we've been playing on the channel here, that's the Psycho card battle royale, because of all these animations and the characters that have to say things, it takes so dang long to get an actual duel. And I could play like 5 real duels by the time I play one duel with all these flashy animations and the pendulum and the flashy lights. That's the kind of game that this game is. So maybe you can disable it, but keep in mind if you're playing online, I don't know if, you know, it'd be good at least in the rank section. Here's like a good, you know, suggestion for them if they are watching people's videos here. Is that like they would make it so you have like in practice or casual, you have all the flashy animations, but in like competitive ranked, you remove everything, you make the game like fast, because that's what the hardcore Yu-Gi-Oh audience I think wants. I mean, you guys can comment down below if you guys want all these flashy animations and making it so it takes literally like 5 times as long to duel. I'm not even kidding. Like if you actually time some of the, like an actual Yu-Gi-Oh duel, a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh competitive games are over within a few turns and very, very, you know, limited time. Like we're talking under 10 minutes, I would say, on average, you know, in a high level competitive Yu-Gi-Oh game. Unless someone's playing like, you know, a deck that has Mystic Mind or something like that. Most duels are pretty fast, but because of these animations, it just lasts way too long. And even going into some of like the decks that they were showing off, like look at this extra deck. Like, do you think a Yu-Gi-Oh player is going to want to play 3 copies of all those? Realistically, I think they should give us like a good start so people actually understand the mechanics of a good Yu-Gi-Oh deck, not just like these, you know, jank decks, is like the beginner decks, right? We've been playing this Yu-Gi-Oh game for so long. I think it's safe to say we understand mechanics. But yeah, they have a bunch of flashy animations, and again, like when you attack, it's just I was normally going to be playing this video, but they will copyright strike you if you you know, post it. They'll copyright claim you as well. They just showed off Gem Knights, like Gem Knights in 2021. Like again, a lot of these feel like it's kind of disconnected from like the core Yu-Gi-Oh audience. There are several videos, like I said, it's like a couple hours of footage. There's like several videos on it, but for the most part, it's just showing off like the game itself. Like I would play it, but again, they'll copyright claim you. But basically, they show off, and I can zoom in a little bit here, but it's almost like a PowerPoint presentation. So if you're looking for like a fully like animated Yu-Gi-Oh like experience in terms of like the cutscenes when you're learning these to have like scenes from the anime, because I know some people wanted that. It's almost like Legacy of the Duelist Link Evolution, where, well, they don't like have like the characters talk, but it's just basically like a PowerPoint presentation, and then they kind of show it off over here. But yeah, there's like the world chalice deck over here, so you can also check out that you can read the full text. Like it's really not that big a deal. I don't know why they're hyping this up, that like, oh, you can read the card's full text. Like, why? I kind of expected that. Some of these things that are kind of shown off during, there's really nothing new for I would say veteran Yu-Gi-Oh players here that they wouldn't get from another experience. But it's cool that we are at least getting a new Yu-Gi-Oh game at the end of the day. But I'm guessing what's going to happen with these little like series is either maybe we buy these, because if you played some of the Yu-Gi-Oh games like was it Legacy of the Duelist, you'd have to buy some of these and you get like extra duels, which is kind of cool. And I'm guessing maybe as time progresses, like different seasons could exist, right? And we would get more of these little stories with these cards, and we can learn how some of these decks work. But again, I feel like teaching people Cleese, Gem Knights, right now, it's probably going to be a little bit outdated. I think that we should be looking into, you know, modern Yu-Gi-Oh, which would be like, you know, Tri Brigade, Lyrical Lucina, like variants, and just more modern Yu-Gi-Oh things. At least like maybe even Alter Guys, maybe even like, you know, very popular decks, right? I would say like things like Blackwings, Lightsworn, Glad Beast, those kinds of decks would be kind of cool, but at the same time, you got to be able to keep up with the modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Otherwise, there's a huge disconnect with kind of the actual like player base that is, you know, there for these big tournaments versus the people that might just be like, I like Blue Eyes, I like Dark Magician, you know what I mean? So that's at least my thoughts on it. I'm curious to know how you guys feel about it. I'll also link these videos down below. Keep in mind they're not in English, but if you guys want to watch the hour-long footage, feel free to go ahead and do so. But that's the new news with the new Master Duel. I'm curious to know how you guys feel about it. Are you guys hyped up about it? For me, as a content creator, I'm always excited to play a new Yu-Gi-Oh game, but is it going to be the same experience where we just start off with like the jank decks and we have to work our way up with like the vanillas and like the cards that like are just so outdated? I don't really look forward as much to that as I would with a real competitive Yu-Gi-Oh game that doesn't have these flashy animations that take us half an hour for like one duel. But those are my thoughts, so hopefully they can take that feedback into consideration, as sometimes they do look out for other content creators. So yeah, make the ranked section, have it so it's super fast, and I think that we have potentially a really cool game. Considering it is free to play, that means there's going to be a huge player base looking at other content creators too, so that's why I'm kind of excited at the end of the day. But I want some sort of new like reason to play this over EDO Pro, which is completely free and it has all the cards, or Yu-Gi-Oh! Omega, which again is more modern with all the flashy animation like in the interfaces and stuff, but it's still fast. That's the big difference with this. There's also if you watch some of the duels that they show off, there are these little pets that you can get. I'm guessing this is maybe some sort of MTX microtransactions. Like they'll like do little dances and they'll do certain things. This is like a Rescue Rabbit here, but it doesn't really change up the gameplay, right? It's still the same game at the end of the day. And at least, you know, with the mentioning of it being free to play, I'm kind of excited. But how many gems are we going to be getting? And on top of that, you guys got to remember, sometimes it takes so long to build these decks. Like if you guys play Duel Links, by the time you actually get everything, you start building your deck, and then it's like, okay, by the way, bam, and then you got to start working towards some other thing, and then, you know, it takes a long time to earn these gems if you don't want to spend money, you know, generally, in any free-to-play game, but that's normal. Anyways, I feel like I'm ranting, guys. Let me know your thoughts on any of these subject matters down below, but thanks for tuning in, guys. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like on it. If you're new or do want to be up to date on Master Duel when it comes out, we'll be doing some gameplay of it, whether it's the end of this year or the start of next year. Basically, winter 2021 is the set release date, but if you're new and do want to see it, hit subscribe, turn that bell, and I'll be covering it extensively when the game does launch. But take care, and I'll catch you guys next video. Peace!